I do too.
8:30 it is. In the background, sheriff,
It's, yeah, whoever you wanna call on.
I would call on the sheriff. To give us some back, we're not going right into closed session.
No.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Sorry,
It's a quiet.
it was a quiet start.
It was at 10:47 AM.
And he will get 327.
Go ahead, Phil.
Morning.
All right. Got a box of Glazers for us?
Not today. Sorry.
During the meeting.
So the reason that I am here is obviously because our department, as of this morning, still doesn't have a jail captain or a chief deputy. We haven't had a jail captain for, I want to say, almost or more than 4 months now. And we haven't. There are 3 admin positions, and we've had 1 the last several months. We did have a meeting last week for the jail captain position. He was offered a wage. To my knowledge, he has not accepted that position at that wage yet. He has told me verbally that he would. However, I don't believe that he's signed that yet. He also, keep in mind, just had surgery yesterday. But he did tell me that he would accept that verbally. I sent out an email asking for letters of interest for the chief deputy position. I received 3. Only 1 was qualified. Only 1 has leadership and management training. Only 1 has leadership and management experience. However, that was Matthew Wycheck. And I appointed Matt Wycheck on April 3rd. He tentatively agreed to the appointment based upon wage negotiation. But he has not accepted yet. The reason Matt tentatively agreed based on wage negotiation is because Matt doesn't want to take a big pay cut. I understand that the chief deputy position is not in the union, an admin position. The county decided to move the chief deputy position and the jail captain position onto the wage scale. It's fine. I don't disagree with that decision. They both should be. That's new for our department, obviously. For decades, those 2 positions have followed the union rated. But Matt is concerned about losing $8,000 to $15,000 a year. Take a promotion. Matt has averaged $85,000 the last 3 years as a patrol sergeant and as a drug investigator. His question to me was, could you afford to take an $8,000 to $12,000 a year pay cut? My response to him was, no, I couldn't. Couldn't do that. The jail captain position, if Tom accepts, was given a $6 an hour pay increase from 31 60, I think, to 3713, I believe.
Was any of this done in closed session in the previous meeting?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, the wage one.
That it gets approved, right?
But I think since we offered it, it's not public.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to clarify,
Yeah.
so we don't get up and.
Yeah, so it was not closed, but then since we offered it, I would say it's public.
Yeah, it's the,
Once we
it's the
offered
employee
it,
notice. That's why you keep it closed session.
If we start discussing anything about patrol deputies, any of that discussion, then I suggest maybe we're doing a comparison. then we need to
Talking about other candidates, you mean?
Oh, if we start doing any type of other comparison, just advise people. That's my thought, that may be a very different view.
So that position received a $6-ish an hour pay raise. I'm not asking chief deputy, I'm not asking for a $6 an hour pay raise. The jail captain was put at step 11. I would ask that the chief deputy get placed at step 11. Is about a $2.50-ish an hour pay raise.
Over where you left.
Correct. I was making 37.06. Well, I'm still making 37.06. Not asking for $6 an hour pay raise. I'm asking for what, $2.50. Step 11 for the chief deputy. I think the judge was in the same position in front of you guys in January when she wanted to hire or appoint a new judicial assistant. And the judge knew that Brooke Clark would do a good job. The judge knew that Brooke Clark was going to stay with Russ County. The judge knew that Brooke Clark was the best person for the job. And Brooke Clark was placed at step 11. I know that Matt and Tom and I have had multiple conversations in the last couple of weeks about how our department create new revenue streams. Because the three of us as a team can see the big picture. We don't just look at our department. We can see the full scope of the budget issues that our county has. If we can assemble our team with the people who are capable of leading, we know we can create new revenue streams that we've never had before. And pretty easily. But we can't do that if we don't have our admin positions filled. If we can get our admin positions filled, we'll be able to create those revenue streams and we will more than pay for those raises.
Like, can you give some examples? Sorry. Did I go over?
Can we what?
Can you give some examples on the additional revenue streams he has in mind? Or like, I got excited to hear more.
Hmm.
I got excited to hear more.
Oh,
Sorry, I went out
yeah.
of order there.
Yeah, sure, man.
The first
It
one,
helps, it helps the whole narrative of why we need to do this.
sure, I fully expected you guys to ask, what are they? One of them, so we currently have an electronic monitoring program in the jail, EMP. However, our EMP program is much more stringent and strict than other counties as far as allowing people to be on that program. Just in the last couple months, I've had inmates and attorneys come to me saying, will you please revisit your EMP program requirements? Because I have clients that are in your jail that want to be on EMP, that are willing to pay for EMP, but your restrictions don't allow them to. We currently go through a company called Sun Monitoring. for our EMP program. They're based out of Rice Lake and Shtep. When an inmate gets placed on EMP, that inmate pays sun monitoring $30 a day beyond that program. We, the county, get 5 of those $30. Only $5 a day. We can buy that equipment out of canteen funds and charge the inmate 20 or $25 a day. And we get all of that money, all of it. We're not paying another company to monitor our inmates for us. I know right now we would have at least 1 or 2 inmates out on that EMP program. But as it sits right now, our restrictions and requirements to be on that program, they don't meet. That's one. Another way to create revenue, our inmates don't have internet access. They don't. Stellar has a program where they would give our inmates iPads with obvious restrictions on them, like pretty probably souped up parental control restrictions. But those inmates would pay us to have access to those iPads. Inmate work release program. We haven't had an inmate work release program for years and years and years and years and years. If we have a sentenced inmate that has proven that they can behave well in jail and they can follow the rules, why wouldn't we allow that inmate to get on work release? As long as they meet the requirements and restrictions. Why can't we have inmates paying the county to get out of jail to go pick up garbage in ditches? Why can't we do that? I don't know why. I don't see why we can't. We haven't done that.
Who's gonna monitor these inmates when they're out picking up trash and?
Don't need to monitor them. Only need to monitor them when they're in the jail. It's like if they were cleaning, they have to be monitored the whole time. But just like EMP and Huber, there's nobody monitoring those inmates. What we would do is randomly and sporadically, we would ask a patrol deputy, hey, inmate A is supposed to be at work today at ACE. Can you go make sure they're at work? Hey, inmate B is supposed to be down on County V picking up trash in the ditch. Check on that inmate twice today, please. There can be some accountability measures taken, but we currently have none of those revenue streams right now. I want our department to help this county fix the problem. I'm not aware of any other departments in this county right now that are trying to help fix the budget deficit. Ours is one of them. We have done nothing since November of 24 to help fix the problem. But we also can't help fix the problem if we don't have the right leaders in the right places. Those ideas that I just mentioned, those weren't mine. They were Tom and Matt's. If you want to, if you care to look, put this together. I'll try to blow it up. So I took counties that compare in size to Russ County. Currently, our chief deputy makes $77,000. Ashland County, 16,000 people, $84,000. Bayfield County, 15,000 people, $92,000. Buffalo County, 13,000 people, $89,000. Lawrence County, 5,000 people, $84,000. Iron County, 6,000 people, $80,000. Pepin County, 7,000 people, $82,000. And then Russ County, 77,000. Iron County has 6,000 people in it, and that chief deputy makes 3,000 more than ours. Pepin County has 7,000 people in it, that chief deputy makes $5,000 more than ours.
We got what, 14?
What?
We got 14-ish.
Yeah, 14 and some change.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for our chief deputy to be the 10th highest paid chief deputy in the state. I'm asking you guys to put our chief deputy on the wage scale at step 11 so we can have a chief deputy. Because I can't do both. Can't. I've been doing both for too long.
We've been doing 3.
Well, I've been doing 3 for a short time, yeah. I can't concentrate on helping the county create those revenue funds if I'm supervising all the patrol deputies and the investigators.
Those are just wages there, not including benefits. That's just,
These are weighted
Pay.
in, this is pay. Yeah, this is just pay.
Total, oh, just wages.
And this is 2025 numbers.
Well, but you just had, what, 45%, basically. Is that the number?
It really depends on their health insurance plan, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but, you know. Sidebar about health benefits, maybe 2 minutes after.
We can't have the chief deputy making less than Joe Captain. That doesn't happen in any county in the state.
Any other questions? Good
so
question.
then you appointed him effective April 3rd. You're gonna look this to back pay, I'm assuming?
That I guess could be negotiated.
'Cause it sounds like you're kind of in limbo right now. I don't like where this is landing.
So here's my stance on it. He was appointed April 3rd. However, he has not completed any chief deputy tasks or duties yet.
Okay, that's all I want to clarify.
So to your point, he's been in interviews. I've asked him to come to interviews because I was fully hoping and expecting him to accept the appointment. So I wanted him to at least get a taste of how the meetings run, how the interviews run. But if it was up to me, if I was making the decision, I would not be requesting back pay to April 3rd.
And I would say it's incorrect to say he was appointed on April 3rd. I think he was offered the appointment.
Because yeah, technically he's not accepted.
True.
Ultimately accepted. I guess I got a huge problem with the fact that the other one went to step 11.
You mind if we talk first?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you mind? We have we have a piece to say.
Oh, yeah, no, okay.
Okay, so, and this is, we're talking about the chief deputy right now, but the finance director is gonna come up in finance, the highway commissioner is gonna come up in highway. So our platform is that we need an equitable compensation strategy for all county employees. As a county government, we have an obligation to operate with fairness, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. And one critical area where this responsibility must be upheld is employee compensation. While it may be tempting to address individual cases of underpayment as they arise, selectively granting large raises to certain positions while ignoring systemic issues creates deeper inequities and undermines our long-term success. The county contracted with an outside agency, Carlson Detman, to conduct a compensation study and implement a wage scale for this exact reason. If the county doesn't elect to follow this scale, we slip back into old ways and again, end up with large pay disparities. Why can't we just pick and choose? Well, when we arbitrarily choose which underpaid positions receive substantial wages or raises, we risk sending the message that our compensation decisions are based on preference rather than principle. This approach is not only unfair, it creates inconsistency, confusion, and resentment among staff who perform equally critical roles but are left behind. Compensation should never be reactive or selective. It must be strategic, data-driven, and rooted in the shared understanding of value across all departments in our county. The role of a compensation plan. A well-designed comp plan is essential to the effective and sustainable operation of any county. It provides a structured, transparent framework that guides how we evaluate positions, benchmark salaries to market data, and ensure internal equity. Such a plan helps us avoid the pitfalls of ad hoc raises and builds trust among employees who know they are being compensated fairly with their peers and market standards. A comp plan was presented to the board 3 times and no action was taken. We suggest that this needs to be revisited by this committee. We have systemic underpayment of department heads in Rusk County. We're currently facing a systemic issue with department heads being compensated below market rates. Exempt supervisor level positions in grades 15 through 21, which Ashley has the wage scale if you're interested in what those positions are on average 12% behind on our minimum, which is step 1, 13% behind on our control point, which is step 11, and 16% behind on our maximum, step 21. These leaders are responsible for managing critical county services and staff, yet many are being paid significantly less than counterparts in comparable counties. Ignoring this imbalance affects recruitment, retention, and performance at the leadership level. Rather than making exceptions for a few, we need to address the root of the issue with a comp study that ensures all department heads are compensated appropriately. Another concern is employee morale. When existing staff observe that the county only offers market rate pay to new hires in positions while long-serving loyal employees remain underpaid, it sends a demoralizing message as new hires will leapfrog existing employees on the wage scale. It implies that experience, commitment, and institutional knowledge are undervalued. This creates, and we're seeing this, dissatisfaction, lower engagement, and increases the risk of turnover, which is incredibly high for 2024. We must show our employees that they are valued not only at the point of hire, but throughout their careers. So in conclusion, to ensure a fair, transparent, and sustainable future for our county, we must stop approaching compensation as a series of one-off fixes. Instead, we must implement and follow a comprehensive compensation plan that addresses systemic inequities, supports leadership stability, and fosters a culture of fairness. Only by doing so can we build a county government that attracts and retains talented professionals and serves the people of Rusk County with excellence.
And I'll add a little bit onto that. So something that we talked about too, specifically with these positions, is we can't take into account overtime either. We're looking at their current wages. Like Matt is currently at $32.55, which is $67,000 a year. Our investigator really should not be making a lot of overtime because we should be having that person flex our schedule so that we're being fiscally responsible too in doing that. So that would be $67,000. So currently $32.55. If we went up to the wage scale, step 11, it'd be $39.37. So that is an increase of $6.82 over the current wage that that person is making. Same with, and we're not discussing the jail captain, but the jail captain is $10.10 raised than what they were currently making when you don't factor in overtime, which if we get fully staffed ever, which we obviously right now we're not, but we don't know if we ever will. Overtime is not guaranteed, which is why when we look at increases, we go off of base wages and not, what you're making the last 3 years. So if we do put our chief deputy at step 11, that would be a grand total increase between these two positions of $19,000 for 2 employees, and $19,000 from their predecessor. So not $19,000 from their current wage, $19,000 from where George was at, and then where Phil was at. So George is the jail captain, Phil is the chief deputy. It's a $19,000 increase from where they left us in January. If you guys will remember, for the budget year, we asked for an increase for 147 of our employees for a grand total of 200,000, and that was shut down. That would be $1,300 per employee is what you guys did not approve to increase wages. And instead, we're going to go give $18,600 to 2 employees and raise that wage from where their current people left them. Again, pointing into, we don't appreciate the people that were currently with us and increasing their wages, but when somebody new steps in, we do that. Furthermore, the last two positions that we just very recently went through, these people wanted to hire on our wage scale to our HHS director and our social worker supervisor. Both of them, we did follow, even though the comp plan isn't in place, I have been basing my recommendations based on that comp plan. And both of those positions both ended at a step 2. Both of those people have been here a long time with us. They were getting groomed and trained for positions. And they were awarded a step 2, and the committee's decided nothing higher than that step 2 for them. And then the last thing, I just want to note that not accurate information that that was our only qualified candidate. According to our job description, all 3 of the candidates identified would be qualified per the job description. Maybe not the best candidate. We don't want to discuss that in open session, but as far as the job description, all 3 were qualified. Same with the jail captain. We did have at least 4 people qualified for the position. I don't have anything there.
Nope, that is it.
Was back when the wage stuff was first put in place, it was up to step 5. After that, it had to go to board.
Correct.
So where did that change? When the hiring committee was put into place?
Right, so step 1 through 5 was administration could negotiate that. Anything above a step 5, if it was a brand new hire in a new position, that would be approved by the ad hoc committee. If it was a like internal transfer, then that would need to go through the financial procedures manual, which is oversight, personnel, finance, full board.
I'm going with jumping around. You're not, I don't think you got fixed in and you're jumping around, put Band-Aids here and Band-Aids there.
Well, the numbers that Phil gave you, the chief deputy, that he's correct, but that's every single one of our positions. We're on the bottom for, by a lot of money, so.
How underpaid is the chief deputy position? Or
Yeah, that's, it depends, like Washburn is close to us, Rusk is, or Sawyer is close to us. In the grand scheme, it doesn't really matter because they're the same amount underpaid as like the highway commissioner, which step 11 of 3937 for the chief deputy is even above like what our starting wage is for a highway commissioner.
I mean, we could have probably avoided having hiring a jail captain just by addressing the wage issue for that person.
True.
That individual. Which that has been done in departments.
That's a huge, actually a huge morale killer when we just raise the wages when people leave.
It encourages turnover.
That's
Waiting it.
20%.
Well, and that's a very common thing in, a study just came out too, that you have a much better chance of making a lot more money in your life if you job hop than you do staying where you're at because of this.
It happens in all professions.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
see it in
mean.
mine all.
That's what this, yeah.
They come for
Public
2, 3
private.
years, they get trained in and then they start moving.
Mhm.
The next thing you know, they're a territory manager for another company. But whatever. That's the chance you take.
And I don't, I don't know how you fix the overarching issue of not following the plan that you paid somebody to put together.
Well, we have to pass the comp plan. That gives bumpers. There would be no meetings like this.
Right,
No debate like this if there was a comp plan. The
Right.
wage would just be the wage.
right. And everybody would know that.
Yes.
And you would still get the person asking, but the answer would always be no.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry, this is our plan.
Yeah.
But we don't have that.
I see a huge problem, which has been brought up as well. I mean, if you're gonna give certain select people raises like this, when the rest of the people here are basically on a wage freeze for 25, how's that gonna set with them? And not only that, but currently, in case anybody's forgotten, we are in negotiations with the union. How's that gonna look to them if they see jail captain has this kind of a raise? I could see where our tentative agreement with the jailers would maybe they'd come back to the table and say, hey, you did this for the jail captain.
Well, you know,
We're gonna have to relook at the jailers.
the
I
only,
can see that happening.
The only out there is.
Especially if they watch the video of this meeting. Hires.
Yeah, we're getting down to the weeds. Would you agree?
Closed session.
If you guys want to discuss it further, I would make a recommendation of going to closed session.
I will be going to close.
A second.
I'll second.
What were you gonna say?
Eight seconds.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thinking the same, I just didn't get this.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.